Hey y'all, Isaac Alexander here, and today I'm going to show you how to create a spinning gingerbread animatronic that's holding a candy cane and rotating on a pile of snow. It's a fun and festive project that will bring some extra magic to your holiday display. I'll take you step by step through the process so you can make this adorable animated gingerbread for your own decor. So join me for this awesome Christmas tutorial. To begin making our spinning gingerbread, we need a motor, we need foam board, we need a projector, and everything that I use on my channel, I link in the description below. Just hit more and you'll see all the links to everything I use. Let's start with foam board. We need the foam board to be 1 inch thick, and they normally sell these in sheets of 4 feet by 8 feet at your local hardware store. But they also sell them in smaller sizes, so if you want to get that, that's good. Next, we're going to use a projector. I have an inexpensive projector. I'll print the image using my computer, put the image on the projector, bam, trace it out. You could also freehand it, but I'm not good at freehanding, so if you're good at that, go for it. Once we're done tracing this out, we're going to use our jigsaw to cut it out. We need to sand the edges so they're not so sharp, and then afterwards we need to paint it and attach it to the motor. It's actually a simple project, so I hope you join me for this awesome spinning gingerbread. I wanted to take a moment to talk about the second children's book I've written. It's called Oliver and the Lost Flame, and it's rated for kids ages 3 to 10 years old. The story is about having faith, showing courage, and helping others. And it's available on Amazon right now in 3 different languages. So if you want to support this channel, support the tutorials, and support all the displays I make, go get yourself a copy. The sale of each book go to support this channel. The link is in the bio below, so let's get back to these amazing Christmas tutorials. The image is super small. It's about 3 inches, and it just goes on the underside. So I'm going to include this one in the description of this video in a downloadable link, and you can print it out yourself for free. We put it on the underside of the projector, and we get our board, and then we turn off the lights, project it, trace it, and cut it out. For the motor, we're going to be using a wiper motor, and this one's from the company called Monster Guts. Now this particular motor that I have is called a Monster Prop Power Pack, and everything I'm going to be talking about is included in this kit. Now, if you find this wiper motor at a different business for a better price, go for it. This is just the one that I use and the one I'm comfortable with, but you can use whichever one you want. So we're going to assemble this motor, and then we're going to attach it to the prop. The next few minutes is going to be me talking about assembling this particular motor. So if you don't want to watch all of that because you've got a different one, you can skip it, or you can just move on to the next step. This right here is the motor. We have the power supply right here. We have the speed controller. We have the quick connect to the power supply, and we have the quick connect to the motor. So first things first, let's turn this around. And we have some instructions here. We have right on the top, we have power positive, we have power negative, we have motor positive, motor negative. So if we turn this on its side, we need to unscrew all of these to look like this one over here because we're going to put the wire in this. So let's unscrew them. Don't take them out completely, just allow them to be opened just like that. So let's look at the wiper motor right over here. If I bring it up close, you can see that this terminal connector has pins on the inside. The first pin right there, the very first pin, that one is the ground. We're going to be using that one. So if we go to the 4th pin, 1, 2, 3, 4, right over here, that one's the high speed. We're going to be using that. For a little extra information, the 2nd pin right over there, that's the low speed, but we're only going to be using the 1st pin, which is the ground. The 4th one right there is the high speed. So let's get our quick connect right over here. This is the motor quick connect, which is the longest cable. As you can see, we have 2 cool attachments on the top. That's going to go right into the pins. So black color right over here goes into the first one, which is the ground. red cable, which is the second one right here, goes into the fourth pin, which is high. So let's put them in right now. See? First pin, fourth pin. All right, so now we get the other end. So let's get a utility knife and run it right through the middle so we can have a little bit more cable to work with. All right, now that we've separated these, we're gonna go back to our speed controller. And if we turn it around, we're gonna see what we have over here. So this one's connected to the motor, so it's going to be the bottom ones, motor positive and motor negative. And of course, the red one is going to go to motor positive, and the black one is going to go to motor negative. So all we're going to do is we're going to put these inside. Make sure you're putting them in the right place. Just like this. See, you just push them inside, just like that. Now we're going to close these screws. We're going to screw them back up so it creates a tight squeeze on both cables. So let's do that now. And just like that, the cables are sandwiched nicely in there. But just make sure that it's the actual wire on the inside that is being squished and not this rubber cover on it. Next, we have the Quick Connect power supply. This one, if we turn it around, we have power positive on the top, power negative. So the red cable, as we said, goes to the positive and the black one goes to the negative. We're going to do the same thing we did with the motor connector. Make sure you put it in the right place, just like this. And then we're going to turn it around and make sure it's there. We're going to screw it down really good. Once you're done, turn it over and double check your work. Make sure that the cables are going to the right place, because if they're in the wrong place, we could damage this wiper motor, and we don't want to do that. Now that we're done with that, we can get this and connect it to the power supply. Let's see if it works. We get our speed control, we've plugged it in, and there we have it. It's spinning. Yes. So you can go higher and it'll just spin faster and faster, but it's working. Success. Okay, let's talk about a few important things, and that's how we're going to attach this to the motor. So the motor comes with this piece right over here, and this piece right over here has two holes. One is bigger than the other one. The bigger hole goes attached to the motor, and then the smaller hole, we're going to be using this bolt right here. This is 1/4 inch by 5 inches. I'm going to link this one in the description. But you should take this piece to your local hardware store to ensure that it screws in, because for some reason some of them weren't, so I don't know if it was just a defect. You'll also need 2 nuts to go on either side to tighten it up really good. So that's how it's going to go attached, just like that. So this piece needs to go attached to our gingerbread. And I'm thinking that since I want it to stand up like that, this is the back, I'm thinking that I'm going to do this just like this, and then put a Loctite Expanding Foam on the entire backside of the gingerbread. And let me tell you why. Okay, so the issue is that this isn't very thick, and this being held onto right there might put a lot of pressure on the end, and this might break. So in order to prevent that from happening, we're going to be using our friend Loctite. Now I love using Loctite here. I use it so much. So what we're going to do, we're going to place this like this. Actually, it's going to be on this leg, like this, leaving about 1 inch of space on the bottom over there. And then we're going to grab our Loctite and we're going to apply it to the entire gingerbread. Just apply it. As soon as you're done applying it, spray it with water, ample amounts of water, spray the entire foam. Then we're going to put a timer for about 5 or 6 minutes. And then after the timer goes out, we're going to squish the foam really good down. That's going to give it a texture to the gingerbread. And I think it'll be a good thing to show you what a textured and non-textured gingerbread would look like. This is the back, so there's not going to be any face on the back side of it. But you'll be able to see texture on the back and then just regular, smooth gingerbread in the front. But that way, the Loctite will act as a reinforcer to hold this bolt in place and prevent it from breaking, because Loctite can be very tough and strong. All right, so it's been about 5 or 6 minutes and we're ready to start working with it. So spray your hands with water and then just give it a light misting once more. You want to make sure your hands are wet for this. And then what we're going to do is push this down. And look, we have nothing on our hands because it forms a skin. So what we're trying to do is prevent it from spilling over the sides, but anything that does spill over, we're going to be able to cut it off. But I'm just trying to keep it within the border. So here is our bolt and we don't want it to move, so we're just being gentle. All we're doing is getting rid of the big bubbles and then you can push it back in. So after we've pushed everything down really nice and solid, wait about 5 more minutes and then come back and push out any remaining bubbles because it's going to want to try to grow some more. But we're going to prevent it by squishing out all of the air. Got it? So let's do it to the entire thing and work quickly. All right, this is what it should look like once it's done. We've attached our little piece right over here. We've used one of the nuts that came with the monster pack, really nice and tight with our pliers, and we are good to go. We have a base, a wood base that we are making. These are 2x4 wood. We've cut this one to 10 inches, and we've cut these two to 8.5 inches each. I'm going to pre-drill some holes so that the wood doesn't split and put a couple screws in there. Then we're going to put this right in the center like this and attach it with zip ties, making sure that it is nice and tight. Then we can attach our gingerbread. But remember, this is the base, so you can hide it and be creative with it. I'm not sure yet how I'm going to hide it, but whatever I come up with, I'll make sure to share with y'all. Look what I ended up doing. I used 2 pipe straps right over here, and then I just used some 2.5-inch screws on either side to hold the pipe strap in, and we are good to go. Remember, you want this portion to be in the middle for balancing reasons, and look at that. We're good to go. Also, just a little tip, this normally doesn't lay flat like it is right now. It kind of tilts to one side. So I use some, hopefully you can see them, I used 3 drywall screws. I screwed the drywall screws into this section over here just to provide a shelf for this to rest on. So now it lies flat like this, because before it was like tilting to this side. So that's just a little tip to keep this nice and straight. I think I'm going to cover this with a plastic bag and then put Loctite foam on top of it. I want to give the appearance of snow. So I think once it dries, we can paint it white and then cut a hole in the top so that this can move freely. By putting the plastic, we'll assure that nothing gets on the actual motor or wood. So I think like this, just let's make a mound really nicely and then let it grow, and then we can cut a hole in the top. And I think it'll look like just a pile of snow. To finish off our gingerbread, we're going to be using this 3/8 white rope. You can also use 1/2 inch white rope. And if the ends start to fray and come untangled, I just used some regular tape to tie it up like that and then put some hot glue in there so that it doesn't come apart. What we're going to do is do this, just like that, to make it look like it is frosting. So put hot glue there, then set your rope on top of it. We also have these fake peppermint that we can use in strategic areas. We have these fake rubber cookies right over here. And we're going to use some other details for the eyes, but just make it original, make your own. I have a few other things such as gold buttons, black buttons, just different items that I'm going to use, and let's make this original. So to make our candy cane, we need to use materials that are relatively lightweight so it doesn't add too much weight to our gingerbread. I have this foam tubing right over here. some wire cutters, some thick wire. This isn't just your regular wire. We have some red tape as well. What we're gonna do is create a candy cane shape with this, put the tubing through it, and then wrap it with red tape to make it look like a candy cane. This should be super simple. All right, so let's bend it nicely until we get a nice shape. Like this, and then you can make it as long as you want, but I'll probably do it, 12 inches, maybe a little bit bigger, maybe a little bit smaller, and then get your wire cutters and simply cut it where you want it. Before putting the foam tubing, you want to cover the end maybe with some electrical tape, some hot glue, something so that the edge, which is really rough, doesn't scrape or grab onto the foam tubing. Just like this. And then let's slide it on through. Always start from the bottom so it's easier when it comes up to the turn. And then at the bottom, and just like that, we have our candy cane. So get your tape. I'm using a 1-inch red duct tape, and we're going to just start wrapping it around. And here's some of the extra fake candy that we added on it. We also put a Santa hat we just placed on top of there, and right here on his outstretched arm, this is a 12-inch bamboo skewer that we inserted into the arm a few inches. That way we can put the foam candy cane right on top like this. So you can hold it like that. You could also put some hot glue right in here so it doesn't turn, but you could also simply glue it to his arm like this, but I think that it holding it like that will be a nicer look to it. Oliver lives in the town of Pumpkin Patch. You see, the town had a flame that brings joy and happiness as long as it burns. But one day, winter came early and the enchanted flame that protects their town was snuffed out. But young Oliver's determined to save the town and find the lost flame. But can he make it through the spooky forest full of creatures and goblins? And can the bat help Oliver find the flame and bring happiness and warmth back? This is a story about being brave. A story about helping others. A story full of faith and believing in yourself. Kids and adults alike will love this Halloween tale. Oliver and the Lost Flame, my newest book, now available on Amazon.